Hello once again, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we get into this week's episode, of course, a shout out and thanks to our sponsors that help us bring the show to you for free on whichever platform you choose to listen. Thanks to, we always run down all the sponsors from the past: Pollyanna DIY, Thrift Store Jobber, Voodoo Monkey Tattoo. Check out, go get inked up with Sean Jaundice there. I should say a huge thanks to Smokin' Jay's Barbecue. They were with us all weekend.
Didn't see Sean Jaundice once this weekend. I know you're out there listening, Sean. I didn't see you out there. Better
yeah, I don't remember. I didn't see him on Friday
or Saturday.
Saturday, I feel like, is a busy day for him. You know, people have off from work. That's always a good day to go into a tattoo parlor. Yeah, we didn't see him. And, Smokin' Jay's Barbecue was with us both days. That was very cool. And congrats to them. They have a physical location so they can work on all their catering stuff, and you can go get takeout, and they're doing delivery down in North Canton. So if you live in the North Canton area, look up Smokin' Jay's Barbecue. Follow them on Twitter.
I believe they're in Massillon.
Is it Massillon that they're in? Oh, we're going to be in North Canton, and they are in Massillon, right down the road. They
are in Massillon. I talked to Brock quite a bit. He is working on really expanding the Smokin' Jay's business with this into like a brick and mortar sort of thing. And I know that they have like a physical kind of like, you know, I think simply just takeout right now.
Yes.
So Smokin' Jay's is opening up on 1008 9th Street Southwest in Massillon, Ohio, this month. So
available for Uber Eats and Grubhub in terms of delivery.
So I think they're just doing takeout. I spoke to Brock at Toy Ohio, and he explained to me that he's working on this. He has some partners. He's looking for investors to expand into a full-fledged restaurant right now. He has a location. It's that location that he signed the lease on, but he's trying to actually buy it because, and this is where this gets very interesting to AIW fans. Mm-hmm. The location in which he's trying to buy has a full-on event center attached to it, which, with a stage and a very nice wide open room. So he's working, not only working to become an entrepreneur and really make Smokin' Jay's a full-fledged business and restaurant, but he's also working for the AIW fans, trying to not only secure a restaurant location, but secure an actual venue in which we could host events in the Massillon area on a regular basis. So if you're somebody listening, you have a lot of money you want to invest, get a hold of Smokin' Jay's, get a hold of Brock. He is looking for investors very soon to, make this a reality.
Mr. Whiskers very excited about that possibility.
Yes. Already all over the microphone.
And of course, as always, thanks to the merger between IndependentWrestling.tv and Smart Mark Video, watching AIW never been easier. Though you wouldn't guess that based upon last week's streams, but we'll get into that a little later. But go to IWTV.live or IndependentWrestling.tv, sign up for IWTV, use the code ABSOLUTE so that they know we sent you. And, of course, if you go to smartmarkvideo.com, you can purchase on DVD or digital download anything that is in the AIW archive ever. So there is that. And this week we get into the episode. AIW owner John Thorne. Of course, my name is Steve Guy, your moderator of sorts, and I will start off on this note with Smart Mark and IWTV. For the first time in a long time, John Thorne, we got to see Smart Mark Gary this weekend.
Yeah, that was awesome, to be perfectly honest. I saw Gary, he gave me a big hug as soon as he got to the venue. It's been, he didn't even do the last shows right before COVID from what I recall. So it has been almost 2 years, I would say, probably since we've seen Gary in person.
Yeah.
Time is a flat circle in the COVID era of life. It's hard to really even put like time frames on things, but I'm pretty sure it's close to 2 years since we've seen Gary physically in person. Bittersweet, obviously, without Shannon being there. Mm-hmm. But it was great to see Gary. He was in high spirits. He was happy to be back. It was good to see him smiling, and enjoying himself, and joking around with people. So yeah, that was a really good way to kind of kick things off Friday.
Yeah, it was great. Honestly, it may be more like closer to 3 years, because I'm trying to think of Gary. I don't even know that Gary's done Odeon shows, John.
Yes, he has. What are you talking about? You're fucking fried. He did Odeon shows. Yes.
You think about this, we really only did the Odeon. Oh yeah, they okay. Man, it's been all right, so that's still over 2 years. We started in the Odeon in 2019.
Yeah, was it 2019 or 2018? 2019.
2019.
Yeah, so we did a full year and a half at the Odeon, which Gary did mostly all those shows.
He did do
plus
the
Akron
shows.
Plus the Akron shows.
Yeah. All right.
It hasn't been that long.
Still 2 years is still a long time to not see him, but yeah, it was great. Gave him a big hug, and great reaction from the crowd. I appreciate that. I know that he really appreciates that, because when we talk about AIW being a family, Gary, of course, a part of that family, has been for a very long time.
Yeah, very long. It's like, if you can somehow get the Robles and Gary super team together, that would just be, the ultimate team, I think. The ultimate IWTV Smart Mark Video super force. Sometimes you can even get Mike Burns down there running the floor camera. Then you really got the whole team. We did have some newbies on hand running production.
We did.
They had some new employees that they sent out, so it was nice to meet them and get to know them. And looks like they are attempting to expand operations, expand the team. They have more people coming on board working for them, so that is exciting potentially for the future, because that should mean that most of our shows can live stream. However, as we will get into, doesn't always go too well for us when we do the live stream. So let's get into that kind of stuff a little bit later. But for now, let's start with this. Friday, John Thorne was a show basically full of homegrown talent. I mean, Ethan Wright, technically your only true outsider, but has started to grow, and a lot of that, thanks to being seen. An argument can't be made for Ethan Wright as well, because while he is, a journeyman, obviously trained under Harley Race, he's never really been given a platform, to this level. To where he is, playing to audiences essentially, in, streaming type situation, where, he's getting seen by more fans. So an argument can also be made for Ethan Wright. But yeah, it was really a goal to focus on, homegrown types of talent. I had a tweet, at this point would be yesterday, where it's like, you can call them students, homegrown, locals, whatever, you know what I mean? Like they're the roster at this point, and this was their weekend to, do everything they can to, make a case for themselves to stand out and continue to be featured, going forward on shows. So, that was really the idea of Friday night and basically the weekend was to really give, our crew, a platform to shine. And, that was the point of Go for Broke. And, it was all kind of built up through that and, culminated with this tournament on Friday night.
And from a match quality perspective and tournament perspective, how did you feel they did?
Well, I guess like before we even get into that, I'll say that we've talked about Friday. We've talked about the past attempts of tournaments dedicated to Chandler and how they've kind of like blended together and didn't really stand on their own, because they'd be in with a J-Lit weekend or something like that. Mm-hmm. Friday, like I woke up in like a pretty weird mood because it was like kind of like finally facing the reality and not trying to like hide the Chandler show, you know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense, like not trying to downplay the ones that we did before, but it was like almost like wasn't like a real thing, when it's tied in with the J-Lit weekend and, there's all those emotions around that whole thing. This was like the first time where it was like, okay, like this is a day completely dedicated to Chandler. And I was a little emotional on Friday. You know what I mean? I started looking at pictures and, kind of like facing that reality, that I guess the volume of what the day was going to be, sort of, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm a pretty, I'm a pretty like, keep it close to the vest type of guy. So, it was, I was like at work and there was just like nobody around, and like I like totally like just cried right before I left to go to the venue because I worked on Friday, and like I was just looking at pictures and I got like real emotional right before I went to the Odeon. So I was just in like such like a strange mood on Friday.
It was, so I kind of compiled the 15-minute video, and it's on our YouTube and Facebook, and it's people who are part of the roster kind of, talking about Chandler, talking about what the tournament means, and talking about Biggins in general, and sharing some memories. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I put that together, and there were multiple times that I was just I cried like a little baby a few times Friday morning.
Yeah,
watching that.
I guess for context purposes, like all that stuff in that video is like extra footage from Go for Broke, and I produced those like sit down interviews, and I made an effort to always ask people those questions, and I asked them with no warning. You know what I mean? They did not know that they were going to talk about Chandler. They didn't know. Like, so all that stuff isn't like I have time to sit down and think how I'm going to say this. Because I don't even know if we ever got into the context of Go for Broke at all. But all those interviews, nobody was given any sort of idea of what to say. Basically, I said, sit down. And then I would ask them questions, and they would have to reply with no, like it wasn't a wrestling promo. They would have to reply with real responses. And every single person that did one, even if they didn't know Chandler, which, I know the people that didn't know him were left out of the package that was uploaded on Friday morning. But I made sure to ask every single person that because, I wanted genuine responses. I had no idea what or if that footage was ever going to see the light of day. I just wanted them, I wanted to have it, and I also wanted the talents, especially the ones that knew Chandler, to understand what we were trying to do and what the whole point of Go for Broke was to really celebrate the memory of Chandler Biggins and, you know, bring it all together with this tournament. So, you know, all that was no like in character or anything. That was totally just, hey, sit down on this couch. What did Chandler Biggins mean to you? Like, nobody had any warning or anything like that. And I think, you know, we got some really good stuff. And, you know, when I watched that video, and then that made me so emotional. And then I started kind of like, you know, I went to Chandler's Facebook page and I started looking through photos, and like, there's like, you know, probably, you know, 100 of photos of me, him, and somebody else. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it was a pretty heavy day to start off, you know, and it took me a while, you know, it took me a while to even want to show up to the venue, you know, like I was done with work. I could have showed up, you know, I could have left early, and I kind of sat there for like 2 hours, trying to, you know, prolong having to go to the venue. But yeah, you know, that's kind of how my Friday started.
Yeah. I mean, that was basically my Friday. I worked on that, and then got over to there. I will say I was later to the venue than I wanted to be, because
were you ever? You were there. You got there after doors opened, and I was like,
no. Doors hadn't opened yet. I got there. I think I just didn't see you.
It was close. It was close. I know it was pretty close.
Yeah, I think I didn't see you at first. So I got there at like 5:30, 5:45 maybe. They definitely were tailgating out front. But so my big holdup was that from Go for Broke, you know, I was holding on to the Biggins Cup, and from the time frame of when you folks saw Go for Broke was over, and until now, I have moved into a house, and I knew that the Biggins Cup was in a box. I didn't know what box, and that was the problem. So I had to figure all of that out, and yeah, that was a nightmare, because there are a lot of boxes that have not been unpacked yet, and I've eventually found the Biggins Cup, and I got there, and then, you know, then you talk about Robles being the dream team. So Robles and I kind of team up with Matt, who's at the Odeon, and have finally basically figured out this lighting situation when we watch shows, so that it could be, or when we do shows, so that they can be best lit for the audience, because the audience likes it to be a little bit dimmer. They like that you know, darker feel within the Odeon, if there's just something about it. And then, but you also have to balance that with the people watching at home. You know, they've got to be able to see what's going on. And in doing so, Robles started bringing lights to help front light and knows exactly where they go. And I then quickly realized, here's Gary, here are these brand new people. That means that there are no front lights that Robles usually brings. And so we thankfully had ours, and it quickly became, all right, we have to get these plugged in and up and running and going. And then that just became a really goofy technical mess of things. And we're talking about old outlets in the Odeon, so they're 2-prong. So then we have an extension cord that's 2-prong, great, but then the lights are a 3-prong, and we don't have one of those adapters that makes a 3-prong a 2-prong. Just really dumb stuff that is very inundating. And yeah, and then we were rushing and getting ready, and there you go, there you have it. Oh, and I still had to get a haircut in that day. That was also part of being late, but yeah, so I was inundated with all the small minutia became a very quick factor in terms of setting up the lighting so that you folks at home could watch and see it. And then John Thorne, even after all of that, things seemed a little dim on the camera for the floor cam.
Yeah.
And that was not us, folks. That was well, I guess I could tell you because that's all after talking to Gary, who he found out, and the next day was trying to run things with Robles. There is an internal issue with their camera. So if you were watching on Friday and you were like, "Why is it so dark?" If you actually look at the hard cam, it's fine, but the floor cam has some sort of internal issue, and they could not white balance it and adjust exposures and things like that. So there was some sort of issue there that left it very dark. And there's your answer.
Yeah, and there was, right when we were getting ready to go live, this camera started having these issues, and that's kind of what caused us to start later than 7:30. And then, both days, honestly, were plagued by just like really weird, I don't even know if like production, not even production issues. Like, I don't even, just really weird issues. Like, the Odeon had a new sound guy, and like he just match one, like the whole building almost fell down because he had just had the bass turned all the way up, and that's all you could hear. Also, this guy just country music just started playing randomly during one of the matches. Like just stupid fucking things happen. Like Saturday, the PA system that was rented for us only played in mono, did not play in stereo. So I don't know like what it looks like on the stream, but it was awful. Like live, you couldn't hear anyone's entrance music. It's just one of those weekends to where the wrestling is one thing, and then the other stuff, is a completely different story. But yeah, there were just lots of new people involved in many of the things. From there were new people helping with IWTV. There were new people working at the Odeon, and it was just like we're so used to, like, we don't have to do anything, you know what I mean? It's like a set it and forget it sort of operation.
Yeah.
So where we had these new people, and there was like a bit of a curve, a learning curve there, on Friday. And then on Saturday we worked with, completely new people as far as those festival promoters. So
this was brought up to me, John Thorne. I don't know if you believe in the supernatural or not, but any chance Chandler Biggin just trying to rib us?
Absolutely not, because he would be fucking furious at all of these things that happened.
But he didn't have to deal with it.
It didn't matter. He would not think it was funny. He would not think it was funny one bit. He would have had a fucking fit.
He would have been pretty angry. Yeah. So again, listen. I know he has a much shorter fuse than I allow things to like boil up over time. Like he would fucking lose his mind. I know that Traxler often gets a bad rap for whatever reason because there are fans who know that he's back there running the sound, but none of these mishaps were due to Traxler. So if you're on Twitter or anything,
my gripe with Traxler, I said, Traxler, you better get some fucking Pitbull or something going on this pre-show playlist for Chandler Biggins, and he just stuck with the regular like AC/DC and stuff. Hate breed. We gotta get a good pre-show playlist going.
So, aside from those technical things,
the technical things were really the things that drove me nuts. But did the roster do the show justice from your standpoint watching it? Did these guys in fact step up, with the idea that, hey, this is a showcase for you to show something and prove something? I know how I felt, but what do you feel? See, that's kind of a trick question, though, because
Okay.
they can, but they can also cannot at the same time. And what I mean by that is there's more to it than what you do between the ropes. You know, there's...
Sure.
They all knew that they are all essentially underdogs. It was not a sexy, sensational lineup. I feel, and you know, this is, I'm going to sound like every bitter indie promoter on earth, but I feel this was the time for a lot of these guys to step up, really do some grassroots promoting of themselves, and do everything they can to bring eyes on Friday night and to prove that they are worth taking up the spots. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel that the wrestling more or less all delivered. I think, you know, everybody did great. There was great storytelling throughout the tournaments. You know, since Dom was hurt, I kind of, you know, I booked the show and I kind of let him produce things. And you know, I thought that he did well with that. I felt a lot of the things worked very well. You know, a lot of people, you know, that had very little notoriety. Let's say Mikey Montgomery. I thought he had a star-making night. Derek Dillinger, star-making night. Wes Barkley, star-making night. Wes Barkley, people just think he's a manager. We talked about it last week. I thought that, you know, he did everything he could to deliver a main event. You know, Ethan Wright, PB Smooth. No disrespect to PB Smooth, but Ethan Wright just helped make PB look like $1 million. You know, like there were so many little things that were so great. You know, Weird Body coming back and, you know, delivering a crazy title match.
Yeah.
Chase Oliver returning. Matches kind of, I don't know how it sounds on the stream, but live it is plagued because this country music just starts playing, you know, right in the middle of it, and people in the crowd are confused and mad. But I think that the wrestling, you know, like Trey and Mikey have a crazy opener.
Yeah.
You know, even the razor sharp stuff, you know, he did what was expected to him, and it created some great moments throughout the night. And I think, you know, between the ropes, it's a great show. I think everybody took it seriously and wanted to optimize their minutes in the ring. However, you know, in bold honesty, I was told that the streaming numbers were atrocious on Friday night. And we did not do anywhere near what we would normally do with a regular AIW lineup for a live stream. And, you know, you have to, from my point of view, or for my, you know, where I stand, I am trying to justify this airtime with this company, you know, and I fought for this date. And it didn't do good. So, you know what I mean? I know that I was doing everything I could to promote it. I knew that I was trying, but I don't know that going with a lineup of all, you know, homegrown appeals to the streaming audience, because they are not known nationally for the most part. And that obviously impacted our streaming numbers, which impacts the profitability of the show, which, you know, as much as, you know, you want to say it was maybe a more affordable lineup for us with the streaming numbers doing bad, it is now a show that's in the red. You know what I mean? So that is, that's the reality of being a wrestling promoter and also a wrestling school owner. You know, like, you want to try to make the most out of your products, but, you know, sometimes fans are not biting on that. And, you know, the process, you know, has been put them in with veterans, mix up the show lineups, and that seems to work. I don't know that the lineup of all homegrown talents works as far as a live stream goes, because, you know, the numbers didn't do good. We've been very honest about the numbers for Go for Broke not doing well. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, this was definitely an experiment over the last few months. I hope that maybe it was just one of those things. There's a million things going on. You know, what's the Tracy Smothers line? McDonald's opened up down the road. You know, you can't compete with that. Maybe there was just a lot of things going on. You know, it is a Friday night in the summertime. That is, you know, previous to COVID, you know, summer has always been a death month to run independent wrestling. But the live crowd was there. You know what I mean? Like, we had, you know, we opened up more GAs on Friday, and, you know, we had over 200 people in the Odeon. You know, not that that's like a crazy number, but given the circumstances, you know, I thought that was a very good live draw. But the stream numbers were not good. So maybe it's just because it was a Friday night stream. You know, maybe, you know, the VOD is going to blow the numbers out of the water, and everything's going to be okay. But you know, that's like the you know, the day after show high or whatever, you know, you get hit with those real business numbers and those real business facts, and it's like I can't argue with the fact, you know what I mean, that the numbers weren't good. There's no argument to that. But, you know, I knew it was a risk. I was hoping that the risk was going to pay off. I was hoping that people were really going to be behind, you know, the featuring new talent, and, you know, this whole idea of Go for Broke and building, you know, people towards the future. And I guess they weren't. So, you know, that's the reality. I mean, I'm not going to let it deter me. I think the show overall is great, high quality in-ring stuff, very innovative stuff. Everybody worked hard, and I'm not blaming the talents for, you know, it drawing bad. I just think that, you know, there's more to wrestling if you are a talent than just wrestling. And, you know, you have to create value for yourself any way you can. And that also includes, you know, bringing eyes to shows that you're on. And, you know, that's also falls on the promoter too. I'm taking, you know, I'm taking my, you know, taking accountability for it as well. But this was really a risk, you know, designed for, you know, our homegrown people, our students, whatever you want to call them, to really shine. And kind of, I was looking for a, like, you know, prove everyone wrong number, you know what I mean? And we did not get that.
Sure. So, you know, you're talking about outside of the ring, how do we, you know, what can you attribute that to? And when you say, okay, it's not their fault, they're starting out, and I get that, and I guess kind of to put in perspective to what you're saying, you know, folks, I'm just kind of giving you a rundown here. Wes Barkley and Mikey Montgomery, both star-making performances, we can agree, in terms of what they did in the ring. And they tweeted about the show, you know, but, you know, we've got a show coming up with Danhausen. Danhausen puts his tweet out. Danhausen has 45,000 followers on Twitter. Mikey's got just over 600, and Wes has almost 1,000. You know, so they're doing their part. They're tweeting it. I don't know if they did any promos or anything leading up. But again, even if they do that, their reach is only, so far. Granted, people do promos, tag AIW. You could put that out there, and maybe if it's good enough, it intrigues someone. And now it's, now I'd like to watch this guy.
I think my point to that though is 2 years ago, Danhausen was in the same boat, and he has turned himself into a international phenomenon. Just by trying. And it seems like a lot of these guys are a little complacent, you know what I mean?
Well, he's kind of a great example of, he's the best example of what you were saying.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Because he was, folks, he was not the 5th member of the production. He was the 6th person to put in the production.
Just a replacement background guy.
Yeah. So he comes in and now you look at him. You look at where he is and has taken himself.
And he's 100% doing it. He's 100% self-made guy. He's like a 100% self-made guy as well. And I just think, and that was my thinking is like we have catapulted all these people, and I'm not taking any responsibility for Danhausen at all. He is 100% self-made, but we did give him a platform early on, and I was looking at that as kind of an example of like, hey everybody, like this is your chance, like you have the floor, the floor is yours, take it, take it. For they could have all been doing things for the last month, they could have all been working hard for whatever reason, whether it's promos, character stuff, promotional stuff, and I think people just get once people start taking bookings outside, no matter how big or small, they just kind of get like, oh, I'm a wrestler now, and like that's it.
Sure. Hey, it's up to promote now. So to the credit of the guys on this show, we do at AIW, we talk a lot about, maybe this does fall on us. We talk a lot about driving that live audience because that is the bread and butter in terms of what we do. And I can tell you for a fact, we know that Barkley Nation showed up. We know that Trey Lamar's family bought tickets. We know that...
to be fair to Trey Lamar, though, they bought tickets because they knew he was moving away, and they probably won't see him around any.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like,
still, he still did it.
But he, what I mean. He could have not said anything to them. But somebody else had one of the other guys had a decent amount of people there, and I can't remember who it was for the life of me. But anyway, there was somebody else. Maybe it was Derek. I don't know. Sorry, neither here nor there. Lost track. I'm trying to think back who the heck was all in this tournament now. But there was somebody else that had a good amount of people there. Hell, it might have been Razor Sharp. So that was done, but like you said, we got to take a little bit of blame as a promotion. It's like, well, maybe when we go back to the drawing board, and maybe this is part of, and I know that this has been discussed with the AIW school and stuff, like, all right, well, if one of our objectives here as we move forward in 2021, go into 2022, is to increase our streaming numbers, then we've got to help push this roster to do more stuff to be seen, in terms of promotion of the show, promotion of themselves.
But I mean, there's like, there's only so much, you know what I mean? There's only so much you can do to where, we can't sit and produce these guys and girls nonstop. And I'm not also not trying to, come off negative and say the whole weekend was a failure. It's just, I'm the one that has to have those conversations with IWTV that's like, hey, you wanted this time slot. We gave you this time slot. We gave you this airspace. It didn't do good. You know what I mean? And that really falls on me. And I put I put faith in everybody that was in the tournament, and it didn't do well. Hopefully, this week the numbers are good to great, but it's just one of those things to where it's like that conversation kind of can suck the wind out of any sort of successful night. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
Yes, the tickets were great for the lineup. There's a lot of things like merch did very well, stuff like that. But, the streaming numbers, because, the DVD market is almost dead at this point, So, we really need that streaming revenue to help us. And it just wasn't there on Friday night. And yeah, that's what it is. I think the show was great, though. I think it helped a lot of guys, and I do hope that it helps catapult them to becoming, those marquee talents that we need them to be going forward, because as people continue to get signed and, whatever else, we need these talents to be the cornerstones of the promotion going forward. And that was really a big part of this tournament as well.
You have to sit back and look at this you have to look at everything from a long game, but as the promoter, you also have to look at everything from the short game. And the short game is, hey, we need this stuff to be driven now. We need the streams to be happening now. But then from a long game, sure, it would be great to sit here 5 years from now and people discover this lineup, and you look back on this lineup and you go, holy shit, I cannot believe that all of these people were on this show. Yeah, and
Razor sharp.
Yeah. And, you hope that they are on to much, much bigger things. And, maybe on television, if 4 people from the show are regularly on television 5 years from now, I think you could look back and be like, man, that's crazy to look at that. But again, that's the long-term success, and that makes you 5 years from now potentially look back, smile, laugh, and be like, wow, that's awesome, great, good for us. But to remain financially viable for everything that you do, you need the short-term stuff to work out too.
Yeah, it's like, and like I said, I'm not that disappointed about it. The live crowd was great, but it's kind of like a thing where you need everything, all that money thrown into a pot. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I just hope that the talents, especially are listening to this and go, I have to stop being so complacent and kind of step up my promotional game, and turn, we give everyone a platform, but that only takes you so far. You have to do something with it and, become more valuable, not only to AIW, but other promotions. That's the thing, because it only helps you.
To his credit, PB is a guy who is certainly has been, I don't know what word I'm looking for. He's certainly been experimenting. There you go. He's been experimenting with different things over the last, I don't know, year or two. I know COVID makes things different, but he is certainly a guy who has looked at this and been trying to do stuff. And even Wes, to a point when he was doing the food reviews, that was a thing.
He stopped.
But he stopped. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he stopped. Like, that's the thing, is like, you got to keep going, and like, we're guilty of it with this podcast too sometimes.
100%. I was going to say, as we talk about promotion leading up to it, we were able to get out 2, maybe 3 podcasts leading up to this. If we had done more, would we have, I don't know, would people have determined that we were back, and would we have built it up more? Maybe. Who knows?
And that's why I do take I do take the blame for it not doing well, at the same time, but
yeah, it's a team effort.
It's a team effort, and I think sometimes people don't realize that, or for whatever reason.
Well, you said something interesting, about the again, just to look back at the Danhausen kind of. It's catching lightning in a bottle, but it's not catching lightning in a bottle because he's really worked at it. But when you talked about, hey, it would be great to produce all of these guys and do stuff for them to get them places. Like, do we have the capability and know-how to do things? Yes. But this goes back to, it all comes back to money. Do we have the time to do it? No, because it takes away from our real life things that we need to do to make money and do that. If I could sit here and produce all sorts of things for AIW and these kids to help them out, hell yeah, I would do it for every single one of them. But it takes money. And then you have Danhausen, who is smart and I think had this realization, and the thought is, okay, I know not every single promotion has the ability to do these things for me to get a bigger name. This is going to be on me. And
he's a self-starter.
Yeah, and he draws more eyes to himself, which draws more eyes to his matches and things, which then opens the door because now, everybody wants to work with a bigger name. Well, when you do what he did, those bigger names are going to want to come work with you, and other promotions will be able to book them because they'll know they'll be able to sell the tickets and the streams and these things. So it was a successful weekend in terms of, we certainly know what we have when it comes to talent with this roster, this homegrown roster. Yeah, and I think it's tremendous.
It's draft picks, man. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we got a lot of draft picks right now, but someone's got to become a star. Mm-hmm. For the sake of the promotion, because you look at you look at our guys that you could consider homegrown guys, like a Justice. We got Manser very early on. A lot of these talents, they're traveling the country. Their dates and availability. Tom Lawler, all these people. They didn't come from the AIW system, but we were one of the earlier promotions to book them. They're busy. They're super busy now. They're hard to to lock down. So we have to turn these draft picks into some stars soon. And that's kind of been the goal of since coming back from COVID.
Yeah. And then the other side of this too is when you talk about outside of the ropes, it falls on them to get to other places, right? Like the guys that you just mentioned, they weren't AIW Academy, but we were one of the places to help them start. Ethan Page is another guy early on in his career. A lot of AIW shows. Consistently in his independent career. But the thing that all of those guys have in common was they were getting out to places. Dominic Guarini, who runs the AIW Academy, started making a name for himself. How does Dom start making a name for himself? He hits the road, and he is getting out to other promotions. People are discovering him there who may not even know that AIW exists. And, that still brings eyes to AIW because now you've got somebody who looks and it's like, oh, he's wrestling here? Oh, cool. I'll watch that. Or, Dom's wrestling who at AIW? Oh, I'd like to see that match. And I can't see it in person because it's happening there. But, heck, I'm going to tune in so I can watch this. So it's that too. Am I just kind of totally off on that?
No, it's a lot of things,
Yeah.
And maybe I sound like a selfish promoter that I want more attention brought back onto my promotion, but I think every promoter does. You know what I mean? That's why you do it. Mm-hmm. You don't do it so nobody watches what your show, so especially, these guys that are coming from the school, you want them to be your guys and you want them to succeed. And, it's like rising tide, what's it saying? Like high tide raises all ships or whatever,
Yeah.
it's, you want the perfect storm. That's it for Friday. Saturday was, also a tremendous amount of fun. We had some outside talents brought in for that. I have to say, the people behind the event, they run the Great Lakes Geek Fest, a convention out that way. This was, their first foray into doing something wrestling related. And they treated us first class all the way. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that did not know what we were getting into. We were, this was kind of like one of those situations to where, we were just kind of hired for the day, and, they were responsible for, everything else. And you never know how stuff like that's going to go. You know what I mean? Especially, it's like a handshake type of deal. And, you just got to say, hey, this is what we would be looking for to do the show. And, they wanted us to set them up with Godfather and all these different things. And, they were great. They did everything we asked of them. They had the locker room was a little bit of a walk. So they had like a all-terrain golf cart. That they shuttled guys back and forth, very accommodating. I can't say enough good things about them. And, to their credit, they weren't relying on the gate or anything. They had, the money for us straight from the bank. Like, it was still, in the little, bank bands, you know what I mean? When they, when you withdraw money. And it went great. Other than the PA system, that show is also available right now on IWTV. It didn't stream live because we were literally in the middle of nowhere, which was added to the vibe, I think, for sure. But that show, this is where, I just kind of went on a little bit of tangent of, the students the homegrown guys not promoting well on Friday. Saturday, I will give them a little bit more credit because they could have went out there and fucked around and did whatever, and that crowd would have accepted anything. It was there were a good portion of AIW fans were there, but there were a lot of people that have never been to AIW before in that crowd. It was a new town, new area, new fans, maybe never even been to an independent wrestling show before. They could have all went out there and kind of phoned it in and had good matches, house show matches, or whatever you want to call it. They didn't. Everybody went out, worked extremely hard. From top to bottom, every single match, they really optimized their time in the ring on this show, and they did so well that, I don't know logistically how the entire event worked out for the promoters, but based on how well that the AIW roster worked, they already told me that they want to bring us back out to that area, and they want to do it again next year or maybe even sooner. And they were so extremely happy with how everybody performed and how everybody treated them. So that is a little bit of a counter to the things that I think went wrong on Friday, and things that they stepped up on Saturday, to where they went out there and they did have that AIW attitude to put on the best show that they possibly could, and they did. And everybody went home happy. The festival organizers were so complimentary to everybody. Really just put over the work ethic of the guys and the girls, and how well the show went. And I watched the majority of the show, and I agree, it was a really good show. Kaplan got hit by a freaking U-Haul truck. You know what I mean? Like, the main event is crazy. everything that we had hoped it would have been. And they were extremely happy, and that is kind of the counter to we didn't do good streaming numbers on Friday, but we may have a potential ongoing bought gig in the future in a new area, to where it is essentially low risk for us to go out and do these events, and it's in a new town, and we've developed a new partnership with these festival organizers.
Yeah, and so this is where we talk about team effort. Again, this is a team effort. Okay, as a promoter, bam, you found a new location for these guys to perform. There are now new eyes on them. And they held up their end of the bargain, put on a great show, and entertained these people. So now you potentially have new fans who are like, oh, I'm going to look up this AIW. And I'm going to look up these Bitcoin boys and whatever. What the heck is a Bitcoin boy? And, oh, I'm a fan of them now. And, oh, wow, I can watch a whole bunch of their shows on this thing for $10 a month. And perhaps the streaming numbers are up. And they've got new social media followers. So it all comes together in that aspect. And that's just one example of, how this is a team effort then when it comes to something like that.
Well, I will say everybody worked hard except for Eric Taylor of the Bitcoin Boys, who was extremely hungover from the dive bar and was puking up until a minute before they had to go to the ring.
He claims that he only had 2 drinks at the dive bar.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And he was looking like $1 million at the dive bar, though, by the way. All night, really, Friday night.
Shout out to the mysterious benefactors, Sam and Josh. They hooked it up big for us. Obviously Dive Bar was our officially sponsored after party, but they went above and beyond, and they buy the VIP booth and the bottle service, and they went through about 10 bottles, which was no cheap investment, to say the least.
Shout out to our guy Scott Random too, who he grabbed a bottle there. He doesn't have benefactor money, but he did what he could for his part.
Scott Random brought me a gigantic care package to I got it on Saturday. It's like a full Moscow Mule kit, these different flavored vodkas. It's like a box of stuff. So shout out to Scott Random for hooking me up and taking care of me. I'm gonna try that. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's this very specific flavor of vodka. It's downstairs in my house right now. I haven't tried it yet, but he's been in the Discord and DMing me about this unique vodka and how he really wanted me to try it. So he bought me this box, this care package of stuff, and gave it to me on Saturday at the show, and I'm very thankful for that. So anytime I can get a nice gift from a fan, I'm certainly appreciative of it. But Scott Random didn't have the benefactor money on Friday night, but he did buy a bottle. The Goldsteins bought a bottle, and it's got kind of taken over by everybody. Fans were in there. It was a wild scene. So I even ended up buying a bottle and leaving it with Sam before I took off. I said, Dom, guard this with your life. Only let Jay Gold and Sam Gold drink out of this bottle. But it was a good time. Very thankful, for those guys have been taking care of us for years. Whether it's renting that bar out when we did WrestleMania weekend in Jersey. They always go above and beyond to kind of, show us some love and take care of the boys and the girls on the roster. So I just wanted to say we're all extremely thankful for that and thankful for them. And also, thanks to Scott Random for, the special presents.
Got me a sample pack of Zoa energy drink, The Rock's energy drinks. So I had a little 4-pack on Saturday. That was awesome.
You had a little bit more. You had a little bit more on that Zoa, huh?
The Zoa wasn't rolling solo. That's for sure.
The show was over on Saturday, and we're back in this locker room that was like a house, and you are kind of ranting and going on, and I look at the Duke. I was like, "Is he fucked up? Like, where did he? This is a dry town. Where did he? Like, how is he so drunk right now? Like, you were so drunk after the show." And I was like, "Where? How did he get so drunk? Like, what?" Like, I was like, "What the? What is going on?" And then he's like, the Duke said that maybe it was Razor Sharp brought some alcohol for the roster for the Jeff Calb tailgate. And the Duke quickly pointed to a completely empty bottle of Tito's that was in the locker room, and he said, I think there's a little bit more in those Rock Energy drinks."
Hey, I certainly was not handling that Tito's by myself. But while we're talking about Saturday,
nobody gave me the Iggy, man. Nobody told me.
I told you.
Oh, shout out to Ronald Two Legs and the Rip City Pharmacist.
Yes.
For
care package to the Godfather,
taking care of the Godfather and making him extremely happy for his time in the Cleveland, Ohio, and Jefferson, Ohio areas. They took care of him very well. It was nice. I finally got to meet the Godfather. I was in the hospital when we booked him the first time. Great guy. Wish we would have had some more time with him, but he was kind of, he did what he had to do. He was, been traveling, had to go to New York the next day, but he hung out for a little bit,
Yeah. Hey,
partook in some things with some of the fans, and Kaplan made sure to shotgun a beer for his entertainment, and he looks over at Kaplan, and he's like, "Man, you remind me of Bam Bam Bigelow." Which Kaplan has never been happier in his entire life, I don't think, at that compliment. He said, "Yeah, that's what Bam Bam used to do. He used to just shotgun beers." And so Kaplan ripped another one just to show him how quick he can do it again. But yeah, it was a great time. He's it couldn't be nicer, the Godfather. I can't recommend booking him enough for a signing if you're a promoter out there. He is he's great.
He, I don't know what the weather was like on your drive there, but from my perspective, it was awfully cloudy. I'll say that.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, thank you.
And you were on his Instagram story or Instagram
post. Yeah, that's right. Me and Tim Donst in the back seat of my car while I was driving. We're on the Instagram. And shout out to the Kona snow cones. Those were delicious.
Sloppy toppy chicken.
Sloppy toppy chicken. Sloppy toppy. Big fans of AIW now.
I got some chicken fingers off there. Yeah, I think that Saturday was it was a great day, honestly. That is like just independent wrestling 101. In a weird small town, in a fairgrounds grandstand, a legend there signing autographs. I mean, that's just, I don't know, that's just what it's all about. And like I said, the roster worked extremely hard. The festival organizers were just so great. I really can't say enough about them, because we have, we're always approached by these, we want to bring you in and hire you types of things, and it never really comes together. So you're always kind of skeptical of it, and I was certainly skeptical. I mean, you have to be skeptical, especially when you're just kind of going in cold. I never met them in person or anything like that, and they couldn't have been greater. They took care of us, and it was it was a good time. They already have ideas to do it again next year at an indoor venue, and from what I understand, their comic conventions do very well. So they want to also kind of add this and make it really turn it into a wrestling convention. This was just kind of like almost like a pilot program, like a test run sort of thing, to see if there's interest in that area. And from what I understand, I think it exceeded their expectation for kind of how quick it came together, because this thing came together with probably like 3 months of planning.
Yeah, and hey, shout out, we did end up with a couple injuries off of Saturday. Shout out to those guys. Hope they get back and better soon. Tim Donst and Riley Rose.
And
But-
Ethan Wright was a little banged up from Friday night. as
from
well.
Friday, yeah. But again, talking about just guys being professionals and doing their best. All three worked through their injuries during the course of matches, and people had no idea really, for the most part, until the end. I mean, they just pushed through.
Right, exactly.
Unbelievable.
And no shout out to those guys that quote unquote forgot their gear, so they didn't get called up to work a match on Saturday. There's a couple. There's a couple people on the bench. That's, I didn't bring my stuff.
Well, I think we can wind this one down, John Thorne. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean that's fine. That's fine with me.
Well, we got speaking of festivals, August 14th, we will be in North Canton, just down the road from Massillon.
Yeah, at the North Canton Street Festival. I know, I don't know what people are expecting, but it's going to be like multiple little 1 hour shows. I mean, you have to understand this is a festival. It's not going to be a full-blown AIW show, so like
Family friendly.
yeah, let's not go with the fucking the fuck chants and everything else.
Yeah.
We encourage all the AIW fans to come down. Obviously it's free. It's going to be straight matches. I think we get 1 hour for each one of those time slots. So, I would expect like 3 to 4 matches every 2 hours. I think, we're 12, 2, 4, and 6. So you'll get about 3 to 4 matches every 2 hours. We'll be next to the beer tent. Obviously, we'll be selling merch. Different guys will be down there selling merch, signing autographs, stuff like that. No legend. We were kind of in talks about bringing a legend in, similar to what we did with Godfather, but it just it didn't line up this year. They had a sponsor for us, but the sponsor kind of backed out last second. So again, if we show that we can put on great events, in those time slots, our fans do come out, act respectfully. This is a whole different ballgame. We're hired by the actual Chamber of Commerce. You kind of get that recommendation letter, and it can open up a lot of doors for a lot more, bigger venues and different opportunities for the company. So, we encourage people to come down, hang out, be respectful, cheer, show that we have a presence and we were, worth, them giving us the space to do this. Is more or less like a community outreach sort of thing,
Yeah, we got a lot of fans who often leave the kids and the families at home to come to a Friday night at the Odeon. This is your chance and opportunity. Bring the family out on Saturday, August 14th. And then 2 weeks after that, we got a double shot where we got a Touch of Evil at the Odeon. And the very next day, we go Wrestle Rager in Parma. So,
yeah,
a lot of excitement.
There Thursday night. Stopped up at the Wrestle Rager spot, so some of the guys can kind of take a look at the lay of the land. And listen, get your tickets as soon as possible, because we've sold a lot already. And Parker Pierce, who, obviously has not been wrestling very consistently since COVID. This is where he works. He has predicted walk up in the range of 250 to 300 people. I don't even know that we can accommodate that. So tickets are obviously going to be first come, first serve. And we've already sold close to 200 tickets already. So you guys out there, you do the math. You got to get them soon. Wrestle Rager's typically a 250 cap at now that's class. So this is a bigger space, but you got to get them. As far as the Danhausen show, after adding Terry Runnels, I think there's 20 tickets left. It's set up for 200. There's 20 remaining for that show. Get your tickets for that. And Then we have Sunny Days on 9/10. I believe the front row premium seating is very close to being sold out for that. Obviously that one's a little further away, but we locked down Anthony Green. We're trying to bring in more of these talents that have never been around. We're just gradually opening things up. I signed a contract for a new venue in Lake County, which we will be debuting at later on in the fall / early winter. We have a return to the Tadmore Shrine lined up, and we will end the year as of now on a Saturday at the Odeon, the weekend of 12/18, which will be it will act as my birthday party because my birthday is on the 20th. So that's kind of what we have floating around right now. We were recently approached by the Winchester. There's places that are trying to add more dates. I'm trying not to burn you guys out, but we're going to return to the Winchester, I'm sure, at some point.
Let me leave with this question to you. This double shot weekend saw 3 pukers. Considering the fact that the next double shot weekend includes Wrestle Rager, over under. I'm sorry, this weekend saw 4 pukers total for the whole weekend. Over under 4 pukers for Wrestle Rager weekend.
I think a lot. I can't bet on that yet because we have to lock down Dive Bar still for the 8/27 after party. If that comes true, that is a rough weekend for everyone.
All right.
If the dive bar if Dive Bar is the after party on 8/27, and we go into Wrestle Rager, which is in Parma. I know it's a lot closer for a lot of the talents to get home. There's a lot of West Side wrestlers, Parma-based guys. I predict way over 4 pukers.
Way over
8/27 and 8/28. One of them may even be me because I could probably, if I really needed to, I could walk home from first stop. It'd probably take me about 45 minutes, but it's walkable for me. So, yeah, I'd go over 4 pukers if we get the Dive Bar on 8/27.
Okay.
Are you over under on that?
I mean, it's hard to say because, I want to give guys the benefit of the doubt. A few of our pukers were due to the fact that they were working multiple matches on Friday, but
Eric
I know
Taylor's 21 years old. I said, dude, you shouldn't be puking until you're at least 30.
Well, we also had the Weird Stir in there, and he only had 1 match, so who knows? Yeah, I think my number.
Weird Stir also. He had about 2 weeks at the AIW Performance Center, and then he got called back up to the main roster. So I don't know if he was fully ready yet. He came back to training about 2 weeks ago, and then he got activated on Wednesday last week. I said, I think I'm going to put you in there with Bishop. And he went, what? I said, I don't know. It seems like a match Biggins would want.
Yeah, I bet I'm going to go over. I'll say over 4 pukers for sure. I think that number is probably going to be closer to like 6 or more, but you say way over. So we will find out, folks, in just 4 short weeks, less than 4 weeks. So we'll provide you with that update at that time. That's gonna do it here for AIW owner John Thorne. My name is Steve Guy, and of course for Mr. Whiskers, almost forgot about him, but we will talk to you next week right here on AIW's The Card is Going to Change.